Good evening, everybody. Today we'll be discussing creative credit and copyright. In the 21st century, students are faced with a variety of challenges when it comes to using the internet. Nowadays, more and more students are using the internet for things like research and book reports or creating projects for school. Students need to be aware of what copyright is and when it is appropriate or inappropriate to take something they found on the internet. Let's talk a little bit about copyright. There was a copyright law established way back in 1710. Basically, it's a law that protects your control over the creative work that you make. Nowadays, most things on the internet are copyrighted. That's not to say that we can't use anything that we find on the internet. In fact, many times you can use copyrighted information or items if you pay a small fee, give credit to the creator, or get permission to use those items. Let's discuss why teaching students about copyright is important. Nowadays, we live in a fast-paced world where students can access basically anything over the internet in a very short amount of time. They need to be taught from an early age to respect other people's work so that they do not encounter problems later in life with copyright infringement. Students also need to be taught to value the work they have created and decide whether to copyright their own original creations. This culture of protection and respect can greatly influence future generations. In my own class, I discussed with my students what plagiarism is. Piracy and plagiarism are forms of copyright infringement that are both unethical and unlawful. In the next few slides, I'll give you some examples that you can use with your class. As early as elementary school, students may be required to use the internet for research, book reports, or projects. A student might be tempted to copy somebody else's work instead of doing their own. I'll give you the example of Chris. Chris just found some good stuff on the web for his science report about sharks. He highlights a paragraph that explains that most sharks grow to be only 3 to 4 feet long and can't hurt people. Chris copies it and pastes it into his report. He quickly changes the font so it matches the rest of the report and continues his research. I showed this particular example to my class and we discussed whether he did the right or the wrong thing. Uh-oh, Chris just made a big mistake. Do you know what he did? He committed plagiarism. Plagiarism is when you use somebody else's words or ideas and pass them off as your own. It's not allowed in school, college, or beyond, so it's a good idea to learn the proper way to use resources such as websites, books, and magazines. Plagiarism is a form of cheating, but it's a little complicated, so a kid might do it without understanding that it's wrong. Chris should have given the author and the website credit for the information. Why? Because Chris didn't know this information before he came to the website. These aren't his thoughts or ideas. Let's discuss why plagiarism is a growing problem. In my research, I found in a survey of 24,000 students at 70 different high schools, Donald McCabe, Rutgers University, found that 64% of students admitted to cheating on a test, 58% admitted to plagiarism, and 95% said that they participated in some form of cheating, whether it was on a test, plagiarism, or copying homework. I'm not sure about you, but these numbers are pretty alarming to me. And I think that if we start talking to students at a very early age about plagiarism, they'll learn to respect other people's work and not plagiarize in the future. My next two slides are about fair use. Now, fair use applies to specific instances when someone can use copyrighted work if and only if you only use a small amount of the work, you add new meaning to the work and make it original, you use the work for a nonprofit cause, or you rework it and use it in a different way. On the Common Sense Media website, I found a model that highlights the 4 points of fair use. Finally, let's discuss teaching students respect and responsibility on the internet. In the 21st century, students will be adapting technology into their lives more and more. Students need to be taught the principles of digital citizenship, which include creative credit and copyright. They need to be aware of what they are reading on the internet and know the boundaries of copyright and piracy. Thank you for reviewing my presentation. If you'd like to research any of the resources, I have them listed below. Thank you and have a great evening.